Alexander. Thank you for joining us today at the Fast Mode here at the Fast Mode Studios.
Hi, Tara. Really nice to have this moment. Good to see you.
Okay, great. Okay, so we are almost 18 months into the pandemic. What has been its biggest impact to the telecoms industry?
Well, I think it was a life-changing experience for all of us, and obviously players in the telecoms industry had faced the same as other enterprises in terms of having their employees to learn to work from home and dealing with all the remote processes. But I think the impact went further on particularly telecoms, because, well, first of all, people obviously started to exchange more data, using their internet more, and everything has turned into remote somehow, right? I mean,
Exactly.
We've been speaking about digital transformation for quite a while, and telecom players were at the front edge of this digital transformation, but we were moving quite steadily but slowly. And it all reminded, like, standing on the edge of a swimming pool, hesitating to dive in, and there comes COVID-19 and gives you a push. So for me, what happened is, everything started to digitalize so quickly. Retail moved to remote, to digital, cafe and restaurants, entertainment industry, practically everything, right? And telecommunications have been always a lifeblood of the data circulating around us. And then on top of it, we may say that people started using remote services. The regular B2C consumer customers of CSPs, of the operators, all of a sudden turned into the enterprise customers, because they started to work from home, and obviously the demand for the level of service has increased. People started being more, less patient about the quality of service they receive for their data, for their voice. If you're talking on a video with your parents and there is a glitch, you probably just call them back. But if it's a video conference and you're discussing with business partners, then you're a little bit more anxious about it. So at the same time, thanks to all this accelerated digitalization, it became so easy for subscribers of the CSPs to change their operator easily. So the operators, well, that was a tough time for them. They had to deal with the increased demand for data, increased demand for the level of service, decreased patience of their users, right? So increasing costs. And they had to deal with that all of a sudden very quickly, and still keep their customers and keep them satisfied, right? And that's where we saw an increasing demand for our solutions, the AI-based big data analytics solutions for telecommunications, practically because that was, the only way for the mobile operators to learn about their ever-changing user experience of their subscribers real time, and be able to address it and anticipate it, and see how the network is impacting it. It's been tough, but it taught us a lot.
Yep, absolutely. So I like that bit, the analogy you shared about, being at the edge of the swimming pool, and this pandemic giving us the final nudge for us to take the dive. So I think that basically sums up the situation, and the telecommunication operators now rising to the occasion, faster than we thought they would. So now on Guavus, tell us more about the Guavus journey. Like, what are some of your key milestones to date?
Right. Well, we've been around for the odd 15 years, I think more than that, working in the superposition of telecom industry and big data analytics. So pioneering this field and having expertise in both fields. We've been also gaining expertise since the acquisition by the Thales Group in some other industries, working with the players that happen to be the enterprise customers of our telecom customers. So the key milestones in the past were definitely successful launches and implementations of our AI machine learning based analytic solutions that were focusing on helping communication service providers in monitoring and improving their users' experience, dealing with optimizing their network operations and therefore cost, and facilitating overall the automation of their networks. Now, speaking of the very recent ones, well, there was a big one last year, 2020, right among the pandemic. We've launched our new Guavus product portfolio, Guavus IQ, which is focusing on what we call the outside in, inside out analytics, which works with the correlated real-time insights on both the customer experience and on how network behavior and performance impacts that experience. So that was an important milestone for us, for sure. We presented this portfolio, and the very recent one, just this month of June 2021, we have launched the 5G IQ product, NWDAF, which is focusing on addressing the use cases which are standardized by 3GPP for the growing 5G wave. So that's quite an important thing for us. This one is focusing on the network analytics for the 5G networks, edge to the core, to the cloud. And just want to mention that in the coming in Barcelona Mobile World Congress, we are presenting our 5G IQ and WDAF solution with Amazon Web Services. So I'm really excited about it, I must say.
Okay. So great that you have these two major announcements, one last year and then one this year, and then it'll be great to see your demonstrations and sharing more of these at the upcoming MWC. So so back to some of a little bit more insight into these areas that you're working in. So we see across both fixed and mobile, we see a strong shift towards programmable networks enabled by software-defined networking, SDN. So a key feature in SDN is automation. What role does AI/ML-based analytics play in driving network automation?
Well, I mean, if we refer to the definition of automation, it's basically the transformation of processes and systems, to make them less dependent on human involvement. Right, to decrease this level of human involvement, and therefore, by this definition, the AI-based big data analytics should play a steering role in this process, because basically, what's happening is the complexity of the networks is increasing. It will only increase thanks to the ongoing digital transformation, and it will definitely only increase thanks to the 5G implementations happening all over the world. And at the same time, focusing on the automation, so focusing on less human involvement, means that we need to create the self-monitoring, self-driving, self-healing networks, which would be able to take actions automatically and ideally preventively, right, to address potential issues on the network, which may impact incur certain costs or impact the customer experience and so on. So for me, the only way to do it is to have a solution which can give you real-time insights which are triggering certain actions automatically. So collecting data from various elements of the system, processing them, and automatically triggering certain actions to prevent issues or to address issues. So for me, it's a cornerstone of the automation happening in telecommunications.
Yep. So I think talk about automation has received a lot of attention in recent years, if not months, because of 5G. So when we talk about 5G, how does AI/ML-driven analytics help in the implementation of network slicing across the various verticals that it's supposed to support?
Very good question. if you ask the Guavus CTO or our head of 5G products, you'd probably get an answer full of very technical details and acronyms on how exactly at each level it does help. Well, after all, the 5G standard, unlike the previous ones, does contain the specified use cases of network data analytic functions, meaning it's going by the red thread through the whole implementation of 5G, including network slicing. Now, I actually want to take a different angle on that. I would rather look into the business perspective in a way that, we're talking to our operators, customers, and business partners in telecommunications. And what we see is that one big, objective, ambition for them with 5G is to offer the private network experience to some of their vertical customers, the large enterprise customers. And that's exactly what they plan to use the network slicing for, creating this logical segmentation on the over the common physical network. And obviously, they're working on forming this offer. And we all know that most of the mobile operators, telecom operators, actually were always really, well, I don't want to use the word frightened, but they never wanted to be seen just as a pipe, just as a data provider.
Yeah.
They always think about offering services, value-added services. And it's never been easy, really, but I believe with this private network offer, which is obviously based on the network slicing, they have a unique position to offer various value-add services along with this private network offer, and some of them can be actually analytics as a service, right? Because there's plenty of insights the vertical players, being customers of mobile operators, can extract using the big data analytics on their own data. There is a great synergy if you combine that with the mobile data, right? And you apply a certain solution which is able, on working on the combined sources of data coming both from the mobile network and from the whatever vertical players industry is, generate very valuable insights that can help the enterprise customer of an operator to, I don't know, decrease their cost of operation, get much better and real-time insights about their own end users' experience, and so on. That definitely has a value, which means it can be sold as a part of a package. That's how I see the role of analytics from the business point of view in the network slicing.
Okay, that's a very interesting perspective to network slicing. Yeah, like you said, yes, of course, there's a lot of explanation, technical wise, out there. But then I think end of the day, it's how we translate or how we extract those network resources and translate them into revenue streams for the operators. So great. So yeah. So what will the 3GPP network data analytics function, which is the NWDAF's role, be in helping operators tackle 5G scalability and complexity issues?
Nice one. Well, Tara, I think that NWDAF was designed and introduced on purpose, right? It helps to manage the complexity of 5G network by collecting data from various network functions via standard interfaces this time, right? And then applying it to automating various specific operations. But why it's important, what main problem it solves is that, it provides the interoperability and the standard approach in a multi-vendor environment, in a network full of so many elements coming from various vendors, because obviously the CSPs, the telecom operators, will not give up on their paradigm of multi-sourcing, working with various suppliers, and therefore, we already faced these issues in the previous generations of the networks, where collecting data from different systems and different vendors is always a challenge, because the format of data is so different. Now, in 5G, the complexity is not growing linearly comparing to 2G, 3G, 4G. We believe it's growing exponential.
Yeah.
Right? It's way beyond the human ability to manage it on their own, right? We do say we need automation. We just discussed it. And on top of that, imagine if in this exponentially complex environment, you still have to deal with variety of all the proprietary interfaces and everything. So it's just simply not possible. So fortunately, NWDAF has been specified. We are dealing with the release 16 as of now. The release 17 is coming very soon. And for me, operators will need analytics to manage their 5G networks, and they need to plan it from the beginning. That's also important, right? For me, it's not a solution that you can actually just put aside for now, implement the 5G network and add it somewhere on top. It doesn't go on top. It goes across all the floors of the building they're going to be creating with the 5G network. And therefore, dealing with all the new aspects, all the new use cases, all the new elements of the system, they will need to design this NWDAF from the beginning, right? And even if you can launch some trial phases, you can launch some initial elements of 5G network without implementing analytics, you need to design the space for it. You need to know how your systems will be connecting to NWDAF, providing data, and using the insights, using the triggers to start certain actions, so that when you scale up, you are able to include the solution in place. So, yet another cornerstone in
Yes, yeah, exactly. So yeah, which it's interesting because the network operations on one end relies on analytics. Then we have, I'm sure that the other end, which is the customer experience part, and as we've seen in recent years, there's also a lot of focus on how analytics can help customer experience. So we operators paying more attention to CX and are looking to network analytics to understand not just customer behavior and experience, but also to identify and diagnose network issues that impact CX. What's your take on this?
I think, Tara, you're absolutely right. I mean, not only they will pay more attention to customer experience, I think they have already started doing that. We're working with various CSPs, various operators all over the world, and we've seen the increased attention there. They've been always paying attention to the customer experience, but with all this push we had, with all this nudge we had from the COVID pandemic and the forced accelerated digital transformation, that's become a very important topic for them. We are participating in discussions with them. We see largest leading players on the market investing time and money in studying and investigating how they can monitor and improve the customer experience with a systematic approach, right? Bringing together various departments and silos in the organization. And indeed, they do pay attention to all the aspects of that field, and they do come to the conclusion that it's a combination of both having the insights and ideally the real-time insights on the customer experience, but also on how the network impacts that. And being able to anticipate, to see how the network issues may lead to the deteriorated service and therefore the impact on the customer experience straight away. And then most importantly, they also realize the need to anticipate the potential issues. And that's exactly where we totally resonate with them on that aspect, because that's the paradigm of our Guavus IQ solution right now. It's about the outside in, inside out analytics, giving you the correlated insights on both the customer experience and how the network impacts it. So with 5G, I think it will be even more important, because they have invested so much money, the operator, and they will keep investing. The investment just started, I believe. And at the same time, we also see that the customers, the end users, are just becoming more and more picky for good, right? All of us tend to request more and more from our network connection, and
Yes.
used to use the mobile connection, and the expectations in the crowd for 5G are huge, right? And if, you know, and at the same time, it becomes easy to switch between operators and so on. So operators will face this tough task of making the return of investment
Yes.
while keeping the customers happy.
Exactly, exactly. So that's how analytics are going to factor in how customer experience is managed, and particularly in monitoring, experience in real time. So you get to see what's exactly being experienced on the screen, across users. So
Sorry. Please go ahead.
yeah. So you mentioned about Guavus IQ earlier. So can you share more on that? And what can operators expect in terms of their future analytics experience?
Right. Well, absolutely. Guavus IQ did not appear from nowhere in 2020. It's been accumulating what we've been doing on this market for 15 years. We just picked the most successful use cases that we've implemented together with the leading CSPs. And then we thought through, we believed it's a good time, anticipating the 5G coming, the digital transformation, taking, shifting gears. We decided that's the right moment, and we thought through the roadmap of it. So obviously we'll continue adding use cases. We have a huge pipeline of use cases to implement over time, focusing on, again, both aspects of getting more customer insights. So Guavus IQ has three main parts, three main families of products. Service IQ was meant to focus on the subscriber analytics, subscriber and device. Ops IQ meant to focus on the network analytics, and then the 5G IQ is built on top of it and meant particularly for the 5G use cases, standardized by 3GPP and expanding it beyond. Now, implementing that, we came to conclusion that everything is really correlated, everything is really cross-linked, and Service IQ and Ops IQ are amending each other in a good way. And obviously, we'll continue adding use cases, working with more data sources, adding more ways to decrease the OPEX in the network operation, and have more quicker insights about the customer behavior and habits, and be able to anticipate that, improving the targeting of the right audience in the micro segments of the subscribers. We'll continue working on that.
Okay.
On the 5G, once we have introduced NWDAF among the first ones, and we'll continue adding the more use cases. There will be a new release of specification coming. We'll add some use cases which are not specified, but for us may be a good addition to NWDAF. Then, there would be also the MDAF, the management data analytics functions standard coming. So that's an important target for us in the future. As a part of Guavus IQ, we've recently introduced the device management analytics module, which has been a great success. I mean, we literally got 3 or 4 new customers for it, like over 2 months in various parts of the world, right? So and we have much more coming in both Americas, Europe, Africa, Middle East, Asia. So it's quite impressive. We'll continue developing this model for sure. And importantly, we will continue investing in our SQL Stream solution. It's an award-winning edge streaming analytics technology, which is in the core of all our products, but can also go on the market as a standalone product or technology as well. And finally, just to conclude, we definitely going to continue working on the synergies with our parent company, Thales, because that opens the doors to various non-telecom industries. And building on our telecom experience, we believe we can help mobile operators to build the offer of value-add services around their offer to their vertical to their enterprise customers.
Yeah, great explanation on the Guavus IQ. I'm sure that it promises a lot of opportunities for operators to actually leverage analytics in many new innovative ways to actually power their networks and the way they manage their networks, specifically with 5G and all the many use cases that require so many different specifications by applications and user types. So I think these are the kind of solutions that mobile operators will be looking out to. So finally, can AI ML based analytics pave way for new innovative operator services?
Yes, Tara, I think it can. Right, we touched that a little bit earlier, discussing some 5G aspects. Well, I will start with the point that I believe 5G will change our life much beyond just giving us a faster mobile connection. Right? I believe it will change a lot. It will open new economical horizons. Really change the way many things in our life are done, and it will bring a lot of we all expect it to bring an economy growth and various economical gains for different players. Now, the ones that are paving the way for all this to happen, telecom operators have been investing a lot. We discussed that.
Yep.
They obviously want to have the return of investment. They are in business and they need to make money to invest money. And at the same time, so that means they need to take benefit of these all new economic gains and the push is going to give to the economy. So back to the point that it's not just about selling more gigabytes or terabytes or whatever's coming next of data to the end users, and the same, and it's all about generating the new services that can add value to the end users, and therefore the end users would be ready to pay for it. And while for the B2C market, we can speak about how analytics can help there, but I think it will be a bit indirect. We're already helping operators to get quick and better insights on ever-changing customer behavior and be able to address it promptly. I want to talk about the direct impact that analytics can do, and that's back to my point where I think operators are uniquely positioned to sell analytics as a service, as a part of their offer to their enterprise customers. The enterprise customers of the telecom operators can be coming from so many industries. It can be manufacturing, healthcare, government, defense, transportation, air traffic management, drones, so on and so forth, automotive, all sorts of IoT. And again, we are on the external market. We are working on the telecom market mainly. That's how we position ourselves. That's our products. But we are part of Thales Group. And Thales is a very diverse group which works in so many industries. And we've been always obviously involved in many projects by Thales, commercial projects, working with them on adding value to their offer to their customers. And they work in various industries. Not all of them are fully digitalized, as you can imagine. And we've seen what difference the analytics can make there. The manufacturing case where you can improve the efficiency of the supply chain management, decrease the cost of operation. In automotive, you can have a very valuable real-time insights about the end users, which are the car users, and target them with the bespoke, pretty well-tailored services. In air traffic management, you can have all this data directly from the user, from the device, and generate value. Now, we are confident that when you merge these data with the mobile data that operators have unique access to, right, you get a great synergetic 1 + 1 = 3 effect. And by applying the proper AI-based analytics solution to these data coming from both sources, from the telecom network and from the whatever the industry vertical player is in, right? You can gain massive added value. Give you an example, right? Imagine a transport operator being a user, a customer of a telecom operator is working on digitalizing their transport network. That means being able to know where all the trains or buses are and how the crowd moves around, and trying to optimize this move and make sure you address the, you give enough transport to the places where it has to be at the right time. And you obviously can do that with the data you get from your own sensors and other sources. But if you apply the telecommunication data to that, and we are part of the project we're working on with Thales on that, you can get a much better precision, and that means much better efficiency, and that means much better customer experience at the lower cost. I have examples like that for manufacturing. We are working on Thales, our own Thales manufacturing. I have examples about air traffic management as well. So operators been struggling sometimes to find some value-add services to put on top of their data offer. But the unique resource they have, which is all the telecom network data, all the data they can extract from the subscribers. They just need a partner that knows how to apply analytics in the telecom industry, but also knows how to apply it in the industries of their enterprise players. And that's where we come in.
Okay, sounds analytics as a service definitely sounds like a great proposition, and something that not just like what you said, mobile operators can sell as can productize and sell, but on the enterprises end, we can see from the examples that you've given the kind of value that you'll be giving to them in improving their own operations. So from network operations now, the analytics is going to improving the operations of so many vertical industries. So I think we can see the value that analytics, especially the AI ML driven analytics, is going to deliver across the sector and across all other sectors. So I think it's great insights that you have shared with us today. And also sharing about the Guavus IQ platform. I think that gives mobile operators solutions or options for them to leverage the information that the networks already have, but now use that information in ways that will actually increase their revenue opportunities, and also how they can contribute to the wider ecosystem. So with that, I think I can say that this topic that we have just discussed will be a hot topic over coming months as nationwide 5G rollouts, as we see now, are speeding up, and there's so much more data that's going to come onto the network. So thank you, Alex. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Thank you very much, Tara. My pleasure. And it was really nice to have this conversation. Your questions are brilliant. I mean, it shows that you guys are really on the edge there, and you do understand where the telecom industry heading to, or at least we understand it in a very similar way. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks, and and to everyone tuning in who's watching this video, you can learn more about Guavus IQ Analytics, a product portfolio, and the new Guavus 5G IQ NWDAF product, as well as the use cases using the following links. To get in touch with Guavus, please visit Guavus website, as you can see on the screen. Okay, so thank you all, and see you again in our next video.
Currently, 4G LTE network operations have been complex to manage, costly to maintain, and largely siloed by vendor. Operator-centric and carrying the technical debt of multiple probes and disparate proprietary service assurance products, 4G networks were not designed with network automation and service orchestration in mind. so the scale of 5G standalone will only increase the complexity of an already complex system. And 5G complexity encompasses much more than just speed alone. Everything increases in number. Connected devices, 5G cell sites, radio elements and antenna, bandwidth, cloud-native infrastructure, and more. To meet this demand, 5G network operations must be driven by machine intelligence that fosters an infrastructure that is self-monitoring, self-diagnosing, and self-driving. Fortunately, the Network Data Analytics Function, or NWDAF, is the 3GPP standard analytics function that provides machine intelligence in the 5G core, driving critical closed-loop network automation. Introducing Guavus 5G IQ NWDAF for open multi-vendor interoperability. For mobile network operators scaling standalone 5G networks, 5G IQ NWDAF is a 3GPP standard 5G core data analytics function that generates real-time operational intelligence in the 5G core to drive closed-loop network automation and service orchestration. You can depend on Guavus for a single, full-featured NWDAF product to address multiple use cases such as monitoring network conditions, device behavior, and service experience. You don't need to integrate and manage NWDAF products from multiple suppliers, resulting in greater complexity, higher cost, and possibly supplier-specific solutions that lead to vendor lock-in and siloed operations. Flexible deployment that meets your demands. Efficient analytics streaming at scale. Ability to plug in your analytics algorithms. As you can see, Guavus 5G IQ provides you with a vendor-agnostic 3GPP compliant NWDAF that is fully functional, is interoperable with all 3GPP compliant 5G core components independent of supplier, and is deployed flexibly to match your requirements. Guavus delivers carrier-grade analytics products that support the performance, scale, and resilience that you demand from NWDAF suppliers. For more information about 5G IQ NWDAF, visit us at guavus.com. Introducing Device Management Analytics by Guavus Service IQ. Service IQ DMA provides a series of advanced visualization tools that support rich data exploration and enable evidence-based decision-making. The network planning team uses Service IQ DMA to identify the intersection of connected device capabilities with their network configuration. Product management and marketing benefit from customer segmentation based on device capabilities driving adoption trends. And finally, the network operations team is informed of potentially fraudulent behavior happening on the network by measuring abnormal clusters of identifiers. For more information about Service IQ DMA, visit us at guavus.com.